Hi there, and welcome to the Y Factor podcast.
Wait, sorry, what are we talking about?
The Y Factor podcast. It's where young elected politicians, or YEPs, share how they're making real changes across Europe.
Alright, I'm in. Let's hear what the future sounds like.
Hello everyone, welcome to YEPs on the Ground, the podcast that brings young voices to the heart of Europe. Today with us we have Giulia Acha, a young elected politician from France, who also works for the Renew Europe political group here at the European Committee of the Regions. On behalf of everyone, welcome Giulia.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for joining us. Before we dive into our conversation, we would like to start by asking you two quick questions that we typically ask to get to know our guest a little bit better. My first question would be, what is your motto in life? Something that drives you inside and outside of politics?
I think I have two mottos in life, a general one and a specific one with the period I live now. The general one is, I believe in leading with empathy, standing up for justice and always honoring merit. And regarding the specific one is more for women's spirit and sorority. It's like when a woman has a crown slip or falls, I choose to be the one who helps her to adjust the crown and not to say to everybody, hey, look at this girl, the crown is down.
Well, that's very inspiring. Amazing. Thank you for this contribution. Now I would like to ask you, when did you first feel European?
I think that my connection to Europe started without me even I've been aware of it. I come from a family with Italian, Spanish, Serbian and French roots, but I believe that I truly became aware of it when one day in primary school, my primary teacher wrote me a letter where she wrote that for her, I was a child of Europe because I have North, South and East roots. And I think that on this moment, I feel very European. And also, I feel like I have a big responsibility regarding to have all this history and heritage that I have to wear with enthusiasm and I have to be proud of that.
Totally. Moving on to the next section, could you tell us a bit about your political role at the local level and how does it connect to your work here at the European Committee of the Region?
Yes, I'm lucky to serve as a municipal councillor in the town of Kingersheim in France, which is located near Germany and Swiss borders. We are already very familiar with cross-border cooperation. And also this year, I also had the opportunity to join the Young Elected Politician program at the European Committee of the Regions. So thanks to that, I lived the European life and the European experience because with the YEP program, we are bringing the voice of young people and the territories at the European level.
True, yeah. With regards to the previous question, could you also share with us a project or initiative that you've been involved in that has had a meaningful impact on your community?
Yes, I can talk about the cooperation we have with a German city, which is like a sister of our city. And it's very important for us to maintain the relation we have with Germany, almost because we have a sharing history and because it's very symbolic for us. Yeah. So it's always good moments when population are meeting themselves.
Absolutely.
Thanks to some occasions.
Yeah, amazing. All right. Moving forward, Giulia, during one of the Committee of the Regions plenary sessions, you spoke very proudly and profoundly about the emotional significance of the European flag, and especially in times where Europe is faced by many challenges, socially, politically. I do believe that the European flag as a symbol does carry a great deal of responsibility. And as someone who represents your municipality and speaks for the European youth, what does the European flag mean to you and what should it symbolize in periods that are characterized by social upheaval and political turmoil, such as the times that we're living in today?
It's true that the European flag is very contested in a lot of countries and cities. And it's true in France too, where some people don't want to have the European flag, for example, in institutions. For me, it's very difficult because I feel like I'm a child of Europe, so it's my identity to be European. And I think that Europe is a part of our history, and I will always be a fervent activist, as you can see. Europe unites us, enable us to be stronger collectively, and it's an incredible heritage that cannot be brushed aside like some people wants to try to make in our society and our collective intelligence.
Totally. Well, thank you for sharing this interesting insight. And many of our listeners probably may already know this, but you come from a very multicultural background as someone with Italian, Spanish, Serbian origins who grew up in France. We would love to hear more about this diverse and unique identity of yours that has probably shaped also your sense of belonging to Europe. And how do you see this reflected in your political work?
It's true that I have been incredibly lucky to grow up surrounded by different but complementary culture. In my life, these four cultures have always lived together naturally. At home, we spoke French, but everything around me was a gentle reflection of Europe. Around the dinner table, you could hear Italian, Spanish, Serbian, French, all mixing together, creating a vibrant harmony. It was very nice. And I was raised never to deny any part of my family's heritage or history, but always to remember what France has given me as an individual. But here's the truth. We live in societies that often seems to force us to choose, to pick one of our patriotism over another. It feels like we have to deny part of ourselves to be accepted or to be called good patriot for some. And it's like as if sharing love and loyalty for multiple culture isn't possible. It's not necessary to give up one to embrace another. In fact, it will be far healthier to admit that these identities can coexist perfectly. By accepting this, I'm sure that we take a crucial steps towards avoiding division and prevent the kind of separatism of communalism that tears us apart. I know perfectly well what I owe to France, and feeling close to my history doesn't mean that I'm being deeply grateful for being a child of the French Republic. I'm living proof that you don't have to choose between your past and your present to be a true patriot. You are all of it, and we have to own and keep going with this culture.
Indeed, you are a living proof, I must say, as a young elected politician here today. Moving forward, with regards to this, you have also spoken before about the challenges of growing up in a society that, as you said, often asks us to choose between our roots, for which, regardless, we will never probably be enough. But in this context, how can the EU better promote cultural coexistence and combat this kind of polarization that typically tends to feed into the rise of extremes, especially among young generations?
Europe has a key role to play in promoting this diversity and richness. If there is one thing my own multicultural background has given me, is it's an openness to other and to the world. Creating opportunities for people to meet is a real strength, and we should absolutely strengthen programs like Erasmus to make them even more accessible.
Right.
I truly believe that whenever possible, every young European citizen should have the chance to spend a few weeks in a European country or a foreign country of their choice, of course, and to grow their sense of connection and understanding to other people. And we also need to encourage town twinning and cooperation at the local level. Some communities are already running inspiring projects that require very few resources when supported by institutions like schools, for example. Personally, I'm very interested on the integration of the Balkan in EU. I'm convinced that in the short term, we can start strengthening our ties and fostering a shared European spirit. One concrete way to do this is through town twinning with municipalities in the Balkan, with the aim of sharing best practices as well as building cultural and human connection. We must also be proactive in creating events that brings people together, especially young people who will be the future guardians of our shared prosperity. So I think that we have to put a lot of human way in the way we have to be European. And I think that it will help a lot people to understand themselves and to accept to be a European people.
Absolutely. Well, Giulia, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your valuable insights and experiences. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about Giulia's work, you'll find more information in this episode's description. Stay tuned for more conversations with inspiring young Europeans, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram for updates. Make sure to catch our next episode to discover who will be joining us as the next host and guest. Thank you.